What is going on, guys? Joey Francis here at FLEXX Training Systems, and today I'm going to talk about if you ruined your meat. Is your meat ruined? As usual, I try to take day to day, just stuff that I'm dealing with my own lifters and turn that into a lesson that I can give to you guys. And this is actually a question I've gotten a lot in the past or people have worried about, but I don't think I've ever really made a video on it for whatever reason. But let's say somebody is feeling beat or something happens coming into a meet and they feel not confident that they're going to do well. So, because of a specific thing, right? Maybe not so much because of the normal ups and downs of training, but let's say there's an external life factor that maybe you have a job that is, like, let's say it's variable, right? Like you might have to be physical some days, you might sit down a lot other days, and leading into your meet, things got really busy and you had to be more active than normal. This next example is a little bit more specific to what I'm thinking of in my head or what inspired this video. Let's say you have a lagging lift and you really want to try to bring that lift up. So off program, you start doing a shitload of extra accessories because you think it's going to help you, right? You think it's going to carry over to your lift. That second situation is not good because, when you have a program that's designed smart, intelligently, whatever, like stress should be dosed in a way that's going to, like, there's going to be times to push, and there's going to be times to pull back, right? And there could be deloads programmed in there. There could be easy days programmed in there. And if you're doing extra things on the side that interfere with a comp lift, for example, if you, if you're benching, right, and you're doing a lot of extra shoulders, that might affect your bench, right? Or if you're squatting and you're doing like a lot of extra belt squat or a lot of extra leg press or hack squat or, something with the legs, that's probably going to carry over into your comp lift, right? That's why when people ask me, let's say I get someone and, I only have them training a few days a week and they say, is it okay if I add extra? Can I do extra here? Can I do extra there? And I'll say it depends. It's fine as long as it's like, it doesn't interfere too much with the comp lift. For example, if you want to do a bicep curl, right, and we're benching, it's going to affect you so minimal, it might not even show up, right? If you're training the long head of your tricep, maybe with a single arm tricep extension or something, it's probably not going to affect your bench too much, right? Closer to meet, it's going to be way more important than farther out from the meet, right? Obviously, like there's some movements that are really like, very, very black and white. Like, yeah, if you train that muscle, it's going to screw up your peak. It's going to mess with your fatigue. You might be getting a deload. You might be on a deload and now you're doing extra accessories. So it's kind of messing with your deload. You're not really deloading as hard. You might be, pushing, you might be pushing really hard in training and now you're doing, and you really want to bring up this lift that's been lagging. So you're doing all this extra accessory work, right? And now you're pushing like crazy hard, right? You're just overdoing it, right? You might end up getting an injury, things like that, right? Those are the types of things that are going to kind of throw off the calculation that your training is trying to make, the prediction or the, like, for example, when I give someone a program, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, what do I want them to be 4 weeks from now? Where do I want them to be 8 weeks from now? Where do I want them to be 12 weeks from now? If they do what I'm telling them, I always have something to go off of, and then you have your roadmap, right? Now, people are taking detours. You know what I'm saying? It's going to mess everything up. So you don't want to do that. It's like you're saying, it's like, you go to your doctor and your doctor asks you if you've been taking your medicine or eating right or whatever, and you say, yeah, but you haven't been. They're going to prescribe you something and give you something based on the feedback you give them. And it could really screw you up. So you don't want to do that. You have to like be patient and commit to what you're doing. Now, the question that I'm trying to answer today is, did you ruin your meat, right? Is your meat ruined? Let's say, closer to your meat, if you're doing extra things and they're not accounted for, that's going to affect you, more than farther away. It depends though, because, like I said, if you're training a lot of shoulders and you're supposed to just be doing bench or something like that, shoulders recover pretty fast because they're smaller muscles. And I think, in a week or two, it should probably, the extra fatigue from that will probably calm down, and then you can begin pressing more consistently. The question becomes, what happened to your bench while you were doing that extra work? Instead of lifting more weight on the bench, you're dispersing that recovery and you're dispersing that work amongst a non-specific competition movement that could be draining from your comp lift. You know what I mean? So, I think it could work out if you know what I'm saying in that sense, because, it just depends how hard you went and did you screw up the work you were supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? If we're supposed to put 100% recovery in a bench and you have this other thing that's really draining it and you're going hard on it, bench is going to tank. You need to use your triceps and shoulders with the bench. The anterior delts, some bodybuilders argue you probably don't need any extra anterior delt work with bench because you're training it. I'm like sidetracking my brain. I'm like, well, if you hit the medial head and you're doing vertical press, that's another video. But that's just one example. Now, did you screw up your meet? In that instance, I think it might work out. I think it might be okay, but it's still not going to be as good as if you had not done it in the first place, in my opinion, right? I still think you can do well, but, on meet day, these little things, it's going to account for, 5, maybe 7 kilos, like really when you get down to the nitty gritty. And that could make a break for some people, right? It could be really important. So what I would like to do if that happens is I want to do another prep, and I don't want to have any external variables. I want to do exactly what we have written down. And then that way you can really get the data from that prep and really get the information, and then kind of evaluate, decide from there, see what you want to do moving forward. An instance of definitely screwing up your meet. Okay, let me give you an instance. Let's say bringing someone into a meet and, we're 3 weeks out, and like 2 weeks out when I'm supposed to be lowering fatigue, they're out here doing like extra leg work, right? Extra deadlifts, extra stuff like that, extra things that they think are going to help bring those lifts up. I might not be able to taper you down in time to have you peak in time for the meet if you're beat to shit when we're supposed to be starting to kind of get rid of that fatigue. It's going to be close, right? Again, it sucks because you get so far into a prep. You get so far into a prep, you get all the way to the finish line, and then you start, the pressure of the meet kind of gets to you. You're like, oh man, I'm going against this guy, I'm going against that guy, whatever, this and that. Like, I don't want to lose. So you try to do all these extra things that you think are going to help you. But in reality, what you end up doing is like, you just put yourself farther back than if you had just commit to the plan. You know what I'm saying? Powerlifting is probably one of the most, I think the human body is very consistent and it applies to all sports, but powerlifting is it shows up in a number, right? So you really know that if you try to do more is not always better, right? More is definitely not always better. Powerlifting, you want to be smart. You want to do the smart thing. It's a balance. It's a dance between recovery and pushing. It's recovery and going hard. Recovery and doing what you need to do, right? The body's like, I will give you what you want, but you need to give me what I want. And that's rest, recovery, proper, stress distribution, things like that. Right. So it really just depends like what the situation is. But yeah, if you're doing a lot of extra leg work when you're not supposed to be, or you're supposed to be accumulating a lot of good volume with squat and you're diluting that, you're with other accessories. Now you're not being as specific. You're going against one of the main principles of powerlifting, which is specificity, right? Now, farther out from a meet, training the full body, like working everything, working on weaknesses, working on non-specific calm stuff, more bodybuilding movements, things like that. Those are really important because it's going to help keep you safe. And I believe it can help remove imbalances that could carry over to stuff that happens on the platform. But as you get closer to the meet, you want to just everything to be as refined, locked in. I know how many days I'm squatting. I know how many days I'm doing this. I know how many steps per day I'm taking. I know, how much water am I drinking? What are my calories at? Stuff like that, right? So, those are the things that become more important the closer you get to me and less important the farther away you are from the meet. So, the good news is it depends. It might work out. If you can get that fatigue out soon enough, you might come back to life a little bit. But as I'm making this video, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, how much did you delude what you were supposed to be doing, all those weeks prior, right? So, and it could be at a very crucial time. You might end up screwing yourself, and there's not really anything, you can't really blame anyone but yourself, and there's not really much anything you can do except saying, I learned my lesson, and next time I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, and let my training do its thing, get the result from it, right? But like I said, if you're one of those people where it's usually on a lagging lift, so the lift is already hard to move anyway, and you end up we have to jump 6 kilos in a meet, 6 pounds in a meet. It's 2.5 kilos, right? It's about 6 pounds. We have to do that. There's no in between, right? Unless you're taking chips over here, which is going to be a very few amount of people. So if you're within that range, then it doesn't really matter, right? And even if you're above that, it's okay, big deal, 5 pounds. There's still a very 97.5, 98% of what you could do, you can put it on the platform, right? So it's not the end of the world, but it all starts with the mind. It starts with the mentals, right? Because you got worried. You thought more is better. More is going to help me do this. More is going to do that. You thought you need to take it in your own hands. And you did this extra work. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes extra work is good, but other times extra work is really bad, super detrimental. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. You have to be smart about things. You have to pay attention to what am I affecting, cause and effect. If I affect this here, how's that going to affect other things? A lot of times what people don't realize is, squat, bench, and deadlift, they all use your core to some capacity. So if you're really having trouble pausing on bench, for example, but you're blasting squats and deadlifts, that's going to tax your bench setup. If you don't believe me, deload your squat and bench. Don't do it for a week and keep benching and let me know what happens to your bench. It's going to pop off. It's literally going to pop off. It's so common. It's one of the easiest ways, if you want to boost your bench, it's super easy. That's why on meet day, you don't have that fatigue in the core. So you could just, bench is going to feel way better than it is. And usually the reason why that and deadlift is both of those lifts really tax your core. You train them after squats. And you don't really have an instance when you're training a lift with high frequency like the bench, or a lift that's very affected by the other lifts like the deadlift. You don't really have an instance in training to let your core chill and actually display your strength until meet day, right? The taper before meet day is going to be bigger than the taper before anything else, right? You're not going to, unless you're doing a mock meet, which, I don't really like mock meets too much because you're doing a lot and you're not going to get the same result as if it was at a meet. You're just not. You're going to be more gassed up at the meet than you are there. But again, it starts with the mental, man. The body follows the mind. The body does what the mind believes. And if you stay calm, cool, collected, you follow your stuff and you're just just view, just see what's happening, right? You look at your program, you train, you do what you got to do, and then you compete. You're going to, in your mind, you're going to be okay, I did everything on my program. I didn't do anything extra. My recovery is on point, and I had a great result. I trust my program now. You know what I mean? I trust my program. I know that at this part of prep, it's going to get this way. It's going to be scary. I'm going to feel weak. But I know that once the taper comes in, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to blow shit up. You know what I'm saying? And that's all it is. That's literally all it is. And this takes years to develop. It comes with age. It comes with time. It takes some people 10 years. You know what I mean? Trial and error, just figuring it out. So, a lot of you guys right now listening to this, I'm going to tell it to you. And some of you will take it with you. And about half of you are going to take it with you. Honestly, it'd be 20% of you are going to take it with you. You're going to assimilate it. And you're going to apply it, and it's going to become a part of your psyche, right? And then everybody else is going to hear it, and then it's going to happen to them, and those emotions are going to come, and they're going to just completely forget what I said. And then maybe they come back to this video, watch this video, and feel better about it. So at the end of the day, if I had to leave you guys with something, when I say trust the process, it's one thing to say that. You cannot say trust the process if you do not trust the process. The process means seeing it through to the end. The process means you start here, you go through the process, and you complete it. You complete the program. You get to the finish line. You get to the end, okay? And once you get to the end, Then you can, okay, I've gone through my prep. I went through the entire process, right? It's like, it's obvious, but it's not, because you got to go through the process. You can't just say trust the process when you haven't gone through the process, right? Go through the process, get to the end, and then you can look back at what you did, and then you can really decide, like, okay, did I do the right thing? Did this really help me? You know, and then did trusting this process yield results that I like, that I feel are beneficial, and that I can build upon, right? When it's time to be strong, you know, when it's time to be strong, not when you decide, okay? Do you guys get what I'm saying? When it's time to be strong when it's time to be strong, not when you decide. Meaning, if your training in your life is not allowing for you to display your strength, then who are you to say, no, I should be strong right now? That's fucking madness. That's like saying 2 + 2 is 6. How can it be 6? It literally is 4. Like right now it's 4. Where's it? You got to add another 2 in there to get it to 6. Like you can't change. You get what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people have expectations that they demand something from their body, but they have not put themselves in a position to demand that of your body. It's like getting a puppy, and you expect the puppy how to sit, roll, lay, go outside, go potty, and do all these things, stand, whatever, but you haven't taught it that yet. That's not fair. It's literally not fair. Like you have to teach the body to be strong. Like we're literally doing that. We're teaching the body to be strong, right? We're showing the body that it needs to get stronger, and the only way to do that is to show it that, like, hey, you're not strong enough, right? You did good work, but you need to adapt to this work and make it easier, and that's how strength happens. Anyway, I hope you guys are able to take something away from this. Is your meat ruined? I will say probably not, right? Ruined is different definitions. Is your meat perfect? No, it's not. There's no way around it. There's things in there that could have been different. It was not how it was supposed to be, you know, but you still might get a result that you're happy with. It could always be better, slightly, right? I mean, there's a lot of shit to control in a powerlifting prep, a lot. And no one's ever going to be 1000% perfect. Like, only train, only lay down, right? Obviously, not everyone's going to do that. But, you know, there's diminished returns after a point. You got to just stay calm, cool, collected. You got to stick with the process. And, you know, understand that more is not always better. Being smart is the best thing for you. And, you know, that's really it. Anyway, guys, if you're able to take something away from this video, let me know in the comments down below. That being said, sorry about getting this video up a day late, but I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.